Welcome to Raheel Stories Hub. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and press the bell icon so you never miss an emotional and powerful story like this one. The sun was setting behind the skyline of Los Angeles. Michael Reed, a 29-year-old mechanic, wiped the oil from his hands and locked the garage door for the night. His life was simple. He fixed cars, listened to country music on the radio, and dreamed of owning a small house with a dog named Rusty someday. But fate had already written a darker story for him. As soon as he pulled down the shutter, two police cars came screeching to a halt in front of him. Sirens echoed through the narrow street. "Michael Reed?" one officer yelled. Before he could respond, they pinned him against the wall, cuffed his wrists, and read him his rights. "You're under arrest for the murder of Lisa Howard." The world stopped. Lisa, his ex-girlfriend, he hadn't seen her for months, and now she was dead. And he was the accused. They dragged him to the station. The interrogation room smelled of metal and cheap coffee. Across the table sat Detective Carter, a man who didn't believe in innocence. "You argued with her last week, didn't you?" Carter said. Michael nodded slowly. "Just over the phone, about some money she owed me." Carter threw a stack of photos on the table, pictures of Lisa's lifeless body. The blood, the knife. "Her neighbor saw your car outside that night." Michael shook his head. "That's impossible. My car was at the garage." But when they questioned his assistant, the young boy said softly, "I'm not sure. Maybe Michael took the car that night. One single maybe destroyed everything." By midnight, Michael Reed was officially charged with first-degree murder. No bail, no hope, no light. Jail was nothing like the movies. It wasn't loud, it was silent, suffocating. Concrete walls, flickering lights, and eyes watching from every corner. For days, Michael didn't speak. He just stared at the small window, counting the days by the sunlight that leaked in. His lawyer, John Matthews, visited him every few days, young, honest, still believing in justice. One morning, John said, "Michael, they found your fingerprints on the knife." Michael froze. "That's not possible. I never saw that knife." "I know," John whispered. "But the prosecution is pushing for the death penalty." Michael looked down at his calloused hands. Hands that built engines, that once held Lisa's hand. And now, the world called them a killer's hands. The day of the trial came. Reporters filled the courtroom. Cameras flashed as Michael entered in handcuffs. Prosecutor Linda Scott stood tall and sharp. She painted him as a jealous lover who couldn't stand rejection. She talked about the fight, the messages, the proof. Each word stabbed deeper than a knife. John stood up next, calm and sincere. "This man is not a monster," he said to the jury. "He is a mechanic, a son, a man caught in the wrong storm." But the evidence was perfect, too perfect. And Michael knew someone had set him up. That someone was Mark, his former business partner, the man who had stolen money from their joint. Account and vanished. They'd fought, people had seen it, and now Mark was gone. But suspicion means nothing without proof, and the system doesn't forgive without proof. 3 weeks later, the jury returned. The judge looked down at the paper and said, "On the charge of first-degree murder, we find the defendant, Michael Reed, guilty." Michael's heart stopped. His mother cried from the back of the courtroom. The judge's voice echoed through the hall. "You are hereby sentenced to death by lethal injection." Michael didn't move. He just whispered, "I'm innocent." Death row was quiet. Men waited for death in silence, counting breaths, not days. Michael wrote letters to his mother, to Lisa's brother, to anyone who might care. Weeks turned into months. Then one night, the phone in the warden's office rang. "Michael!" John's voice cracked with excitement. "We found Mark. He confessed." "He killed Lisa and framed you." Michael froze. "He confessed?" "Yes, I'm filing the appeal now. You're going to be free." But the system moves slowly, too slowly. By the time the papers reached the governor's desk, dawn had already broken, the day of the execution. That morning, a guard whispered, "It's time." Michael stood up quietly. He looked through the small barred window. The sky was painted orange by the rising sun. On his bed lay a letter from his mother. It read, "You are innocent in the eyes of God, and that's enough." He smiled faintly and walked down the long, cold hallway, the last mile. Inside the execution chamber, the air was freezing. A priest murmured a prayer beside him. Michael didn't answer. He only said softly, "Tell John, thank you." The needle slid into his arm. He felt warmth spread through his body. Then, silence. At that exact moment, the governor's phone rang. "Stop the execution. He's innocent." But it was too late. The line went dead. The next morning, headlines screamed across the country. "Innocent man executed. Real killer confessed hours before death." John Matthews stood outside the courthouse, holding the signed confession in his trembling hands. It meant nothing now. The man it could have saved was gone. The world moved on. The judge retired. The prison never apologized, but John couldn't sleep. He started a foundation, the Reed Project, to fight for the wrongly accused. Every year, on the day Michael died, John visited the hill where his ashes were scattered and whispered, "You were right, Mike. Sometimes the truth dies before the man does." 10 years later, in a museum in Washington, D.C., a photo hangs, Michael Reed smiling outside his small garage. Below it, the plaque reads, "He fixed cars his whole life, but no one could fix the system that killed him." And every year, on that same evening, the sunset over Los Angeles burns red, just like the last one Michael ever saw. Otro, Raheel Stories Hub. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Raheel Stories Hub, and press the bell icon so you never miss another emotional story like this one. See you in the next video, with a new story, a new emotion, and a new truth.